everybody. Yours truly, Frank Morano here from City Hall, live from City Hall. Thank you for tuning in. I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about what's really happening with the New York City budget because over the last few months, New Yorkers have heard a lot of dramatic rhetoric, a lot of changing numbers, and frankly, a lot of confusion. A few months ago, we were told New York City was facing a catastrophic budget crisis. We heard numbers like $12 billion. We heard that property tax hikes might be unavoidable. We even got a whole lot of documentation with a lot of fancy looking numbers to reflect that. We heard talk about raiding the rainy day fund, but which, by the way, we were told would result in a downgrade of New York City's credit rating. And as someone representing Staten Island South Shore, I said very clearly, before we start hammering homeowners, do I have my gavel anywhere? No, I must have brought it home or to my district office. Before we start hammering homeowners, before we start draining reserves, before we start squeezing taxpayers yet again, government has an obligation to look inward first. Now, here we are a few months later. The property tax increase appears to be off the table, thank goodness. The rainy day fund raid appears to be off the table, thank goodness. And suddenly, like magic, billions of dollars in savings, efficiencies, and state assistance have appeared. First of all, that's good news. I am genuinely relieved that homeowners, seniors, working families, and small businesses avoided a massive property tax increase. That would have been devastating, especially in places like Staten Island, where people are already struggling with the cost of living, with tolls, with insurance, with utility bills, and everything else. But I think it's fair for taxpayers to ask an obvious question. If all these alternatives existed, why were New Yorkers initially told the only choices were huge tax hikes or fiscal catastrophe? Because what this process proved is that savings existed. The administration's own savings teams ultimately identified billions in inefficiencies and reductions across city government. The council pushed back hard against both the property tax hike and the idea of raiding reserves. And the public mattered in terms of their voices and their pressure as well. I think that's important. Now, to be fair, I don't think this means all our budget problems are solved. Far from it. A lot of the solutions being used right now are temporary. Some involved one-time assistance from Albany. Some involve delaying obligations into the future. For example, one thing that concerns me is the decision to delay certain pension payments. That may help balance today's budget, but eventually somebody still has to pay that bill. Usually that means future taxpayers. So while I'm glad we avoided the worst case scenario, I also don't think we should pretend everything is magically fixed. What we need now is what I call reform mode. Those of you that heard me on with Sid Rosenberg this morning might have heard me talk about it. Not panic mode, not patchwork mode, not reach for our wallets. Yes, that is my real wallet, but don't be fooled. There's not that much money in it. Not reach for our wallets first and then find efficiencies and savings later. We need reform mode. What does that mean? It means eliminating long vacant positions that agencies admit they're never going to fill. It means reducing duplication and bureaucracy. It means reforming procurement so the city stops overpaying contractors. It means controlling overtime. It means consolidating unused office space. It means pushing Albany for relief on expensive mandates like the class size law. It means auditing programs that keep growing without measurable results. That's how you create long-term stability, because the truth is, New Yorkers don't mind paying for a well-run city. People understand government has costs. They want good schools. They want safe streets. They want sanitation. They want parks. They want libraries. They want services for seniors and veterans. What frustrates people is when government's first instinct is always, hey, how do we get more money from taxpayers instead of how do we spend smarter? And I think that frustration is very real right now. One thing I'll also say is this, that state money is not magic money. Albany assistance is still taxpayer money. Instead of just the taxpayers of New York City getting hosed, it's the taxpayers of the whole state that are being soaked. It's just routed, this magic money, through Albany before it comes back to the city. So we still have a responsibility to govern responsibly here at City Hall. At the end of the day, my priorities remain the same: keeping neighborhoods safe, keeping New York affordable, supporting veterans and seniors, improving quality of life, and making sure government treats taxpayer dollars with the same care families treat their household budgets. We still have budget hearings and negotiations ahead before the final budget is approved by the end of June. So this process is far from over, but I wanted to give people a straightforward update because there's been a lot of spin over the last few months. Thank you for listening. If you agree, share this video, comment. If you disagree, that's okay too. Let me know in the comments. Email me if you have questions or thoughts. All right, I have to go vote at a committee hearing of the General Welfare Committee. Thanks for watching.